Have you ever loved someone so deeply that you would stand by them through anything, no matter the cost? Imagine a woman who has been loyal to you at your lowest, but one day you betray that loyalty. What happens next? Loyalty is powerful, but what happens when it's tested? Today, we're diving deep into the psychology of loyalty, emotional pain, and what unfolds when a loyal woman is betrayed. Imagine this. You have someone in your life who has stood by you through thick and thin. She has loved you at your worst, supported you when you were at your weakest, and remained loyal when everyone else walked away. She's the kind of person who shows up when it matters most, no questions asked, offering a love that's unconditional and constant. But one day, something changes. You take her loyalty for granted. You break her trust. You hurt her deeply. Now, here's the question. Do you think she will stay the same? Let me tell you something. Once you hurt a loyal woman, she changes forever. Loyalty, once damaged, is never the same. It's no longer a simple, unconditional commitment. It becomes something entirely different. Today, we're diving deep into the psychology behind loyalty, emotional pain, and what happens when a deeply committed woman is betrayed. If you've ever loved or been loved by a truly loyal woman, this is something you need to hear. It's a story that might just change the way you think about loyalty, love, and trust. Loyalty is one of the most profound and rare qualities a person can possess. It's not something you can demand, nor is it something that just exists because of a label or a promise. Loyalty is given consciously and willingly. It's an act of trust, a deep emotional commitment. And when a woman is loyal, truly loyal, she gives everything. She invests herself fully in the relationship, not just with words, but with actions. She shows patience, understanding, and a kind of emotional endurance that very few people can match. But here's where many people, especially men, make a huge mistake. They miscalculate loyalty. They assume it's a static thing, something that exists independently of how they treat the person who offers it. They take for granted that no matter what they do, no matter how they behave, no matter how many times they dismiss, neglect, or hurt the one who has stood by them, she will continue to stay. And for a time, this assumption may appear correct. A deeply loyal woman will tolerate things that most would walk away from. She will forgive, she will understand, she will rationalize your mistakes, not because she is weak, but because she is strong enough to see beyond your momentary flaws. She's strong enough to believe in potential, in growth, in the idea that love is about more than just perfect moments. But strength has limits, and when a loyal woman reaches hers, something fundamental shifts. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not a dramatic explosion or a single defining event. It happens slowly, like water wearing down stone, like a flame that once burned brightly but has been denied oxygen for too long. She starts to see with painful clarity that her loyalty is not being reciprocated. The love she has poured into the relationship is not being valued, nurtured, or met with the same level of care and dedication. And the moment she truly internalizes that realization, everything changes. Now, let's look deeper into what happens when that moment of realization hits. Stay with me as we explore the emotional transformation that happens when a loyal woman starts to see the truth for what it really is. Continuing from where we left off, when a loyal woman realizes the truth that her loyalty has been betrayed, something inside her starts to shift. It's not out of anger or revenge. It's self-preservation. This is something many people fail to understand. Loyalty is not an obligation. It's not a contract signed in blood that forces a person to stay, regardless of how they are treated. Loyalty is a choice, renewed every day, reinforced by mutual respect and appreciation. When that respect is broken, when appreciation fades, the foundation of loyalty starts to crumble, and once it's gone, rebuilding it is almost impossible. A woman who has given her all, who has sacrificed and stood by someone through their darkest moments, does not leave easily. She does not walk away on a whim. She walks away because she has no choice. Staying would mean betraying herself. The tragedy of this realization is that by the time she leaves, she is no longer the same person she was when she entered the relationship. Through experience, she has learned that love alone is not enough. Being loyal to someone who does not value it is not noble, it's self-destructive. And once a woman reaches this level of understanding, she does not allow herself to be in a position where her loyalty is unappreciated. For the one who lost her, this realization comes too late. He will look back and remember the way she used to fight for him, the way she believed in him, and the way she saw the best in him, even when he couldn't see it himself. He'll remember the warmth in her voice, the patience in her words, and the way she made him feel safe, understood, and valued, even when he did nothing to deserve it. And then he'll realize, with aching regret, that all of that is gone. Not because she wanted to leave, but because he gave her no other choice. That is the ultimate cost of taking a loyal woman for granted. You don't just lose her presence, you lose the version of yourself that she nurtured. You lose the quiet strength she brought into your life. You lose the one person who saw you, not just for who you were, but for who you could have been. There's something profoundly transformative about betrayal. It reaches into the very core of a person's identity and reshapes the way they see the world. When a loyal woman is hurt, when she is lied to, deceived, or taken for granted, it doesn't just affect her emotions in the moment. It alters the very architecture of her mind. The psychological impact of betrayal is not something that fades overnight because it disrupts something fundamental: trust. And trust? Trust is not just a social agreement. It is the foundation upon which a person builds their reality. A woman who has been deeply loyal does not enter a relationship with cynicism. She does not hold back, calculating every move, expecting the worst. She enters it with hope, with belief, with the genuine desire to create something meaningful and lasting. Let's continue to explore the aftermath of betrayal and how it can forever change a person's ability to trust again. Stay with me as we uncover the long-term effects on a woman's sense of self and how she moves forward after such deep hurt. Continuing from where we left off, we've explored how loyalty can be shattered, but the emotional aftermath of betrayal is even more profound than most people realize. When that betrayal cuts deep, it changes how a woman sees not just the person who hurt her, but how she sees herself. A woman who has been loyal, who has loved wholeheartedly, does so with faith, with an almost instinctive belief that real love is worth investing in. She believes that the people she loves will love her in return, that when she gives her all, it will be valued. She trusts that her kindness, her patience, her unwavering support will be met with the same level of commitment. And because she believes this so fully, she overlooks flaws. She forgives mistakes. She gives second chances not out of naivety, but out of hope. But what happens when that hope is crushed? What happens when she's made to feel that her loyalty was misplaced, that the love she gave so freely was met with deception, neglect, or indifference? The answer is something most people don't fully consider. She doesn't just lose faith in the person who hurt her, she loses faith in herself. She begins to question everything: her judgment, her worth, her understanding of love itself. She replays conversations in her mind, dissecting moments, trying to understand where she went wrong. Did I miss the signs? Did I ignore the truth because I wanted so desperately to believe in something good? As these questions haunt her, something inside her begins to shift. The brain responds to betrayal the same way it responds to physical pain. Emotionally painful wounds activate the same pain centers as physical injury. The difference is that while physical wounds heal in predictable ways, emotional wounds reshape a person's perception indefinitely. A woman who has been betrayed no longer sees love the way she once did. The innocence is gone. The unquestioning faith is replaced by caution. The heart that once opened freely now hesitates, calculating risks where it once saw only possibilities. And this change is not a choice, it is survival. People often wonder why a woman who has been deeply hurt seems different afterward, why she no longer loves the way she used to, why she appears distant, even when she cares. The truth is, once trust has been shattered, the brain does not allow it to be rebuilt easily. The mind, in an effort to protect itself from future pain, creates barriers. It becomes hyper-aware of inconsistencies, attuned to red flags, and more skeptical of words that once felt comforting. The cruel irony of this transformation is that it makes love more difficult. The very thing she once believed in so deeply, love now feels dangerous, uncertain. It becomes something that must be analyzed rather than simply felt. And so, she becomes more selective. She no longer tolerates the things she once overlooked. She no longer makes excuses for behavior that disrespects her. She no longer believes that love is enough to fix what is broken. Instead, she demands proof of sincerity, proof of consistency, proof that she is valued not just in words, but in actions. And if that proof is not given, she walks away not with anger, not with drama, but with the quiet resolve of someone who has learned through pain that self-respect must come before anything else. In the next section, we'll delve into how this transformation impacts future relationships and how a woman rebuilds her trust. Stay tuned as we continue to explore how emotional resilience and self-respect shape her journey forward. Continuing from where we left off. As we've discussed, loyalty, once shattered, transforms a woman in ways that are both profound and irreversible. But what happens when that change becomes clear to those who hurt her? The woman who once forgave everything now forgives nothing. The woman who once fought for them now refuses to fight at all. Those who have hurt her may try to reach her, trying to remind her of who she once was. But they will quickly realize that she is no longer that person. She has seen too much, felt too much, learned too much, and once a woman has changed in this way, there is no going back. There comes a point in a woman's life when she realizes that fighting for something that continuously hurts her is no longer a sign of strength, but of self-betrayal. When a loyal woman has been hurt, when she has given everything and received pain in return, she undergoes a transformation not driven by anger, not fueled by vengeance, but by something much deeper. An understanding that her peace is worth more than any relationship built on instability. Early in life, many women are taught that love requires effort, that relationships demand sacrifice, that if you truly care about someone, you do not give up on them. And this is true to a point. But what is rarely taught is that effort must be mutual, that sacrifice must not become self-destruction, and that love should never be a justification for tolerating continuous hurt. A woman who is deeply loyal will fight for a relationship far beyond the point that most people would walk away. Not because she is desperate, but because she believes in what she has built. She believes that love is worth fighting for, that people can grow, and that struggles can be overcome. But there comes a day when she realizes that the only person still fighting is her. The emotional labor becomes one-sided. She is the one constantly explaining, constantly understanding, constantly forgiving, while the other person continues to take without truly giving in return. That is the moment she changes. That is when she understands that peace, true, deep, internal peace is not something that can exist in a relationship where she is always unsettled, always questioning, always feeling like she is not enough. She begins to see patterns, the cycles of hurt, apology, and repetition, the empty promises of change, the words spoken to keep her from leaving, but never backed by action. And as she steps back and truly sees the situation for what it is, something inside her hardens not in bitterness, but in clarity. The clarity that no matter how much love she gives, no matter how much patience she offers, she cannot make someone value her the way she deserves. And so, she stops fighting. Not out of exhaustion, though she is tired. Not out of resentment, though she has been wronged. But because she understands, finally, that love should not feel like a battle. That her worth is not measured by how much she can endure. That choosing herself is not selfish, it is necessary. When she walks away, she does not slam doors. She does not seek revenge. She does not waste her time or energy trying to prove herself to someone who cannot appreciate her. She simply walks away with the quiet, unshakable knowledge that she deserves more. In the next part, we will dive into how this newfound self-awareness shapes her future relationships and how she rebuilds her sense of trust and love. Stay with me as we explore the transformative power of self-love and healing after betrayal. Continuing from where we left off, as we've seen, the moment a woman chooses peace over pain, she begins a transformation that is irreversible. She no longer wastes her energy trying to prove her worth to someone who refuses to see it. Instead, she chooses quiet over chaos. She chooses solitude over disrespect. She chooses to rebuild the parts of herself that were broken in the process of loving someone who could not love her correctly. But here's the key point that many fail to understand. When a woman who was once deeply loyal learns to choose peace, she does not go back. She does not return to the chaos that kept her up at night, questioning her value. She does not lower her standards just to keep someone in her life. She does not make excuses for love that drains her rather than nourishes her. The people who took her for granted may reach for her again. They may try to remind her of how things used to be. They may even promise change now that they feel the weight of her absence. But they will find that she is no longer willing to listen because she has learned something they never expected her to learn. Her peace is worth more than their presence. And once she has chosen peace, she will never again settle for less. There is a profound and often tragic realization that comes too late for many people. You don't understand the true value of someone's presence until they are gone. And when that person is a deeply loyal woman, someone who stood by you through everything, someone who gave you a kind of love that was rare, patient, and unwavering, the loss isn't just felt in a fleeting way. It lingers. It changes you. It forces you to confront the consequences of your own actions in a way that is deeply uncomfortable. A woman who loves with loyalty does not give up easily. She does not leave at the first sign of trouble. She does not walk away when things become inconvenient. She stays. She fights. She forgives sometimes more than she should. And this is where the mistake is made. The mistake of assuming that because she stays, she will always stay. That because she forgives, she will always forgive. That her patience, her kindness, and her commitment are simply part of who she is, rather than a conscious choice she makes every day to believe in you, to believe in the relationship, to believe that things can be better. But what happens when she stops believing? What happens when the weight of broken promises, repeated disappointments, and constant neglect becomes too heavy to carry? The answer is simple but devastating. She leaves. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And when she does, the absence of her presence is not just an empty space. It is an undeniable void. Because it is not just her you lose. It is the version of yourself that she nurtured, the potential she saw in you, the encouragement she gave, the way she pushed you to be better even when you didn't realize it at first. Now that we've explored the profound impact of losing a loyal woman, let's dive into the deeper emotional consequences of betrayal and the healing process. Stay with me as we continue to uncover the intricate journey of self-worth, healing, and personal transformation. Continuing from where we left off, we've already seen how the absence of a loyal woman leaves a void that no one else can fill. But what happens when the reality of her departure begins to set in? You may assume she will come back. After all, she always did before. You may believe that if you say the right words, make the right promises, or finally do the things she begged you to do for so long, she will return. But here's the brutal truth. By the time a deeply loyal woman leaves, she has already given you more chances than you deserved. She has already forgiven you more times than she should have. She has already pleaded for change until she could no longer ignore the fact that it was never going to come. So, she does not turn back. She does not entertain apologies that come only when her absence is felt. She does not believe in grand gestures that should have come long before she was forced to walk away. She no longer looks at the past through the same lens of hope that once made her stay. Instead, she sees it for what it truly was, a lesson in what happens when someone is taken for granted. A lesson in how love alone is not enough to sustain a relationship. A lesson in the importance of self-respect. For the person who lost her, the realization comes in the little things, the way the house feels emptier, the absence of the text that once checked in, reminded them to take care of themselves, and encourage them on their worst days. It's in the way no one else looks at them, the way she did with the belief that they could be more, that they were capable of something greater. And it is then, when the silence becomes deafening, when the weight of her absence settles in, that they will truly understand what they have lost. Here's the most painful part. They will realize too late that they could have prevented it. That all she ever wanted was to feel valued, appreciated, and chosen, not just in words, but in actions. The things she asked for were never unreasonable. That if they had simply met her halfway, given her the respect and effort she deserved, she would still be there. But some lessons can only be learned in loss, and the hardest lesson of all is this. Once a loyal woman has been hurt enough to walk away, she is never the same, and neither are you. So, what's the lesson here? Value the people who are loyal to you before they no longer are. Loyalty is priceless, and once lost, it's rarely regained. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced this transformation? Have you ever lost or been the one to lose someone truly loyal? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep these powerful conversations going. See you in the next video.